Welcome to the Expositor Podcast with Dr. Stephen J. Lawson. Dr. Lawson is the founder and president of One Passion Ministries. The Expositor Podcast is focused on taking your preaching to the next level. Now, here's Dr. Lawson.
In this podcast, I want to talk about illustrations in a sermon. Illustrations are very helpful and have their place. Charles Haddon Spurgeon likened illustrations in a sermon to windows in a room that let light into the room so that you can see better what is in the room. Illustrations do that. They illumine and allow you to see the truth that you are teaching. A great preacher will not only tell his listener, he will show his listener what the truth is and how it is to be lived. Illustrations play a very important role in that. What kind of illustrations can you use? Well, there are stories, and we'll talk in a little bit where you can find these stories. There are quotations that can be very vivid and contain even metaphors in them that can be almost an illustration within a quote. And there's also the advantage of it takes less time to give a quote than it does to tell the story. There are metaphors. The Puritans were world class at using metaphors. Like, as the deer pants after the water brook, so does my heart pant after you, O God. Psalm 42, verse 1. Just in a short sentence, you're able to paint a picture, and that in and of itself becomes an illustration. Illustrations are very vivid. They help people see what you are saying. Illustrations are memorable. It helps people remember the truth that you have been teaching. Illustrations help clarify what you are saying. Illustrations are interesting. They can add a certain wow factor to your preaching and make you a more interesting preacher. And illustrations are arresting. They capture the attention of the listener. So for those reasons, I would strongly encourage you to use illustrations. So where will you find illustrations? And that's certainly the million-dollar question. Well, first of all, the Bible itself. A biblical illustration, you're using Scripture to illustrate Scripture. There is an authority about a biblical illustration. There is a weightiness about a biblical illustration. So I would begin there. Second is history. What I like about history is there is a broad appeal with history. There is a gravitas in using historical illustration. It could be from church history. It could be from world history. And historical illustrations are very interesting as well. You can draw from culture, the world of entertainment, the world of politics, the world of sports, the world of music, different aspects, the world of finance, different aspects of society and culture around you. And it can help show the relevance of what you are having to say. There are personal illustrations drawn from your own life that help you be transparent with people as they listen to you preach. They feel like they know you, and they feel like they can be connected with you. So personal illustrations can be very helpful. Science illustrations are timeless. Even as I read the Puritans and Spurgeon and men from centuries past, as they used the sun, the moon, the stars, and laws of science, there is a timeless feature about scientific illustrations, and then geography and matters of the sea and the ocean and mountains and rivers. These cross-cultural boundaries and are true in all of life to all people, no matter where they live. So these are some sources with illustrations that could be very helpful for you. There are also illustration books. I would urge you to use those as a matter of last recourse, but sometimes there are some very helpful antidotes and illustrations that you can find in books. And there are quotation books as well that I have used throughout my ministry. Also, for you to be well read. As you read in many different areas, you are able to draw from your reading, whether it's books or blogs or magazines or wherever that might be. So I would encourage you to use illustrations as I would evaluate my own preaching. It's probably a limitation of my preaching. I don't use as many illustrations as I probably should. So it's easier for me right now to tell you, do what I say, don't do what I do. And I need to be always striving to be better in my use of illustrations. Perhaps this can be a helpful encouragement to you in your preaching.